Ever wished you could trade places with someone who seems to have everything? Like a prince, maybe?
Yeah, living the high life, zero worries.
Right. Today we're diving into a story that flips that whole idea on its head. It's about a prince who had it all literally.
But realized it wasn't what it was cracked up to be.
Exactly. So we're talking about Siddhartha Gautama.
And the book we're exploring is The Journey of Siddhartha Gautama, From Prince to Buddha.
Perfect title, because that's the core of it, the journey.
And it's a powerful one, even from page one. The book really digs into, the complicated parts of his life.
Which is interesting because you'd think Prince must be simple, right?
Right. But no, this is ancient Kapilavastu.
Setting the scene.
Siddhartha's born into this crazy privilege, but there are prophecies hanging over him from birth.
Oh yeah, the whole great king or our spiritual leader thing.
Talk about pressure. So imagine that for a second, even just the wealth. Like you said, listeners probably thinking, sign me up for that life.
Surrounded by luxury, shielded from anything bad. Sounds nice.
But the book makes it clear Siddhartha's not content. Almost like he's too aware of how pleasure can be fleeting.
Okay, so it's more than just, oh, this is getting old.
Way deeper. Even as a kid, he's described as super observant.
Picking up on things others miss.
Totally. He sees beneath the surface, notices how happiness, the stuff everyone chases, it's temporary, fragile even.
It's like you get that new phone you were dying for. Awesome for a minute, then meh.
Exactly. But Siddhartha's feeling that about pleasure in general.
Wow. The book actually talks about him looking out from his palace gardens, and he feels off, like something's missing.
Disconnected, even with every desire fulfilled, that's got to mess with you.
No wonder the prophecy, the idea of something more, it sticks with him.
Speaking of beyond the palace, his first trip outside is huge.
Time to see what life's really like.
It's brutal. Like his dad orchestrated this crash course in being human.
Wait, seriously, planned it out.
Yeah, the Forsytes, super famous in Buddhism. Each encounter, it's showing Siddhartha a harsh reality he's never had to deal with.
Okay, so picture this.
Yeah.
Siddhartha, a young prince, probably expecting parades and cheers, right?
Instead, first person he encounters, elderly man. And we're not talking spry grandpa here.
The book really lays it on thick, right? The frailty, the toll time takes.
It's Siddhartha's first real experience with aging, up close and personal.
And that's just the beginning, right? I mean, he's seen aging up close and personal. What's next in this crash course?
Next up, sickness. You can probably guess where this is going.
Yeah, no, we're good. Especially for a sheltered prince.
Totally. So, second sight, he sees a sick man, but not just he's got a cough.
Right, because it's emphasizing how universal suffering is.
Exactly. And remember, Siddhartha, he's probably never even had a head cold before. Now he's smacked in the face with the reality that illness can happen to anyone.
Whoa, talk about a reality check. I mean, are you telling me he never considered that people get sick, that bodies grow old?
It's almost impossible for us to imagine, right? But yeah, for him, total shock. Shatters his perfect world. Forces him to face the fact that good health, temporary. Which, honestly, people avoid thinking about even now.
No kidding. All right, so it's heavy stuff, but the chariot's still going.
And it gets even more intense. Third sight, as you can imagine, death. A funeral procession.
Oh, wow. From never seeing suffering to a literal in-your-face reminder that life ends.
The book doesn't hold back. This isn't some abstract concept anymore. It's real. It's happening right there. Can't be ignored.
I cannot imagine. To go from that protected life to witnessing that.
And it's all about stripping away those illusions, right? Pushing him to confront dukkha, that inherent suffering, part of the human deal. Central to Buddhism, obviously, but for him at this point, it's just raw experience.
Yeah, no sugarcoating there. Okay, so he's seen aging, illness, death. It's like Buddhism 101, fast-tracked.
And just when you think it can't get any heavier, bam, fourth sight. This time, it's a wandering ascetic. Someone who's given up possessions, everything, to seek spiritual answers.
Okay, so totally different vibe than a funeral procession.
Right. Imagine Siddhartha, totally overwhelmed by everything he's just seen.
Already questioning everything.
Exactly. And then he sees this figure who's content, at peace even. And it's amidst all the stuff that's just messed him up.
So it's like that aha moment, seeing a way out, maybe.
Totally. The text really emphasizes how serene this ascetic is.
Yeah.
Total contrast to the palace life. Lavish, yeah, but we know Siddhartha wasn't fulfilled.
So this encounter, it's like planting a seed. Maybe true peace IS out there, but not where he thought.
Beyond material things. Beyond those palace walls, heavy stuff for anyone, let alone
A prince, with prophecies hanging over him, no less.
Right. And let's not forget, personal life. This isn't just a philosophy debate. He's got a wife, Yasodhara.
And a newborn son, Rahula.
The book doesn't gloss over that. He's torn. There's the pull he feels toward them, this love.
Versus this huge G yearning for something more, but he doesn't even know what it looks like yet.
Classic internal struggle. Makes him relatable, honestly.
Yeah.
Shows how we can love deeply, feel responsible.
But still have this part of us that needs more.
And for Siddhartha, that need wins out. He makes the choice to leave everything.
I mean, can you imagine his whole world gone?
One of the most dramatic parts of the book, middle of the night, slips out of the palace, leaves his wife, his kid.
The courage that took to choose the unknown like that.
And that's where things really shift. It's all about the search now. He studies with different teachers, tries all these practices.
Becomes an ascetic himself, right? Like hardcore dedication.
Oh yeah, extreme physical stuff, the whole 9 yards. He is all I am in on finding enlightenment.
So did it work? All that searching, all that hardship?
That's the thing, and it's often overlooked. Even that wasn't the answer.
Really? Why is that?
Because it shows enlightenment, like true understanding. It's not about external stuff, not even super spiritual seeming stuff.
Okay, so if discipline deprivation, that's not it, what is? What's the missing piece?
Well, years into this, Siddhartha's at a breaking point. Physically, mentally, done. That's where the Bodhi tree comes in.
So picture this. Siddhartha, completely spent, finds himself at the foot of this Bodhi tree. You know, the Bodhi tree. What happens next?
He makes a choice. Right there, he decides he's staying put until he figures it out. Enlightenment or bust, no matter how long it takes.
Hardcore. So the Bodhi tree, it's kind of symbolic then.
Totally. It's this image of unwavering commitment.
Yeah.
You know, he's facing his deepest fears, doubts, everything right there.
That's where we get that classic image from, right? Siddhartha meditating under the tree. It's everywhere.
It's iconic for a reason. Represents that shift inward. Because before this, he's searching externally, but now...
Time to go internal.
Exactly. But don't picture it as peaceful, though. The book talks about these intense temptation that he faces, all symbolized by Mara.
Mara, yeah. Ultimate bad influence, like the final boss in a video game.
Right. Mara throws everything at him. Pleasure, power, even tries to scare him with threats.
And Siddhartha, he's got to be vulnerable at this point.
Totally. But here's the thing, he sees through it. All those temptations, they're just distractions, and he's past that now.
Wow, after everything you went through to get there. So how does enlightenment finally hit? Is it like a lightning bolt?
It's almost the opposite. He's deep in meditation, examining his own mind, thoughts, emotions, the works. And somehow, through that, he breaks free from suffering, from the whole cycle. That's when he becomes the Buddha, the awakened one.
Sounds so simple when you put it like that.
Deceptively simple. Don't forget, this is years of searching, of facing hard truths. But here's what gets me. He could have kept it to himself. Rode off into the sunset, enlightenment achieved.
But he doesn't. He chooses to teach.
Exactly. Think back to how he was, even as a prince. That compassion, hating to see suffering. This was never just about him.
He wanted others to find that same freedom.
Absolutely. Which takes us to the core of his teachings. The Four Noble Truths. We'll unpack those a bit.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's like Buddhism in a nutshell, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So first there's dukkha, suffering, but not just like stubbing your toe. It's deeper. That inherent unsatisfactoriness baked into life.
Okay, so life has its downsides. We've established that much. What next?
Second truth is all about the cause of that suffering. We get attached to things, but everything changes.
Right. People, stuff, even good feelings, it doesn't last.
Exactly. We cling, we crave. That's what keeps the cycle going. Third truth, though, is more hopeful.
Right.
It is possible to end suffering.
That's nirvana. Right.
Bingo. And the fourth truth, that's where it gets practical. There's a path to get there. The Eightfold Path.
Right, right. Like the how-to guide.
Think of it as a way to cultivate wisdom, live ethically, train your mind, all geared toward lasting peace. It's a process, not a quick fix.
Which is a good lesson from this whole story, honestly. From Prince to Buddha, it wasn't instant.
And we're still talking about it thousands of years later. That's got to mean something.
It does, right. It's like you said, it's not just history. It's a roadmap for anyone trying to find meaning, to deal with the big questions.
And on that note, to our listeners, if this story resonated with you, even a little,
pick up the book.
Seriously, dive in. But more than that, remember this. Enlightenment, that peace Siddhartha found. It's not some impossible dream.
It's a journey, one we can all take. Maybe just start by looking inward, like Siddhartha did under that tree.
Confront those tough truths. Be kind to yourself and others along the way. Who knows what you might discover?